You know what's funny? People love to draw lines until it's their own blood that crosses them. Then suddenly boundaries become overreactions and respect turns into you're being too sensitive. They'll tell you to forgive, to be patient, to understand where they're coming from. But let me ask you something. When was the last time they understood where you were coming from? When was the last time someone looked at you and saw the breaking point behind your smile? My people dripped in with lowly guilt and obligation. But deep down, you like to read. And the sick joke is, everyone expects you to be grateful for it. See, there's this illusion people live in, a pretty little picture where family means safety, comfort, and unconditional love. But not everyone got that version. Some of us got the kind where love feels like walking on glass, where dinner tables are battlegrounds and every word is a landmine. Yet still, you're told to respect it, to cherish it, because that's your blood. As if DNA makes betrayal less painful. As if genetics come with a permission slip to disrespect you without consequences. You learn the script early. Smile, nod, don't talk back. Pretend that insult didn't sting. Laugh at the joke that wasn't funny. Accept the apology that never came. All because the people doing it share your last name. And the moment you even think about standing up for yourself, the guilt kicks in. The shame. The fear of being seen as the bad guy for wanting something so radical like respect. But here's the punchline. Respect isn't a reward. It's not something you earn by being silent. It's something you demand when you realize what you've been tolerating all along. They dress it up nice though. That's just how we talk. You're too sensitive. You always take things the wrong way. It's not abuse, no. It's culture. It's tradition. It's just how it is. But let me ask you, if a stranger said those things to you, made you feel that small, would you still call it love? Or would you see it for what it really is? The truth is, blood is not a shield. It doesn't excuse the cuts. It doesn't make the pain noble. It just makes the betrayal harder to explain. And oh, how they'll twist it. The moment you draw a line, suddenly you're the villain, the selfish one, the disrespectful one. After everything I've done for you, they'll say. But love isn't a ledger. Respect isn't a transaction. It doesn't get canceled out because someone paid a bill or showed up once when it was convenient. And yet, you're made to believe you owe them your silence, your tolerance, your identity, all in the name of family. But here's a little secret. They only get away with what you let slide. The moment you stop laughing at the insults, stop accepting the guilt trips, stop bending over backwards to make them comfortable while you break in half, That's the moment the power shifts. And oh, do they hate that. Because control thrives in silence. It thrives in the fear of being alone. But being alone with peace is better than being surrounded by chaos wearing a familiar face. See, you weren't born to be someone's emotional punching bag. You weren't created to keep the family image intact while you crack behind closed doors. You were born with worth, not because of your last name, but because of who you are. And anyone, yes, anyone who makes you feel less than that has forfeited their right to your loyalty. It doesn't matter what role they play in your life. If they can't treat you with basic decency, they don't get to play the "but I'm family" card. That card's expired. And don't let them scare you with those old sayings. You'll regret it when they're gone. You'll wish you'd been more forgiving. What they're really saying is, let me keep hurting you just in case I disappear. But no one gets to threaten you into compliance. Not even with time, not even with blood. You're not heartless for demanding boundaries. You're not cold for choosing peace. You're just finally seeing the game for what it is. And maybe, just maybe, you're ready to stop playing. They call it tradition, a sweet, nostalgic word that sounds like warm soup and old photo albums, but underneath, it's just another mask, another excuse, another way to pass down pain like it's some kind of family heirloom. Generation after generation wrapping up cruelty in a ribbon of "this is how we were raised." And the punchline? No one ever questions it. They just nod, smile, bleed silently. Because hey, it's tradition, right? You grow up in it, soaked in it. The yelling, the belittling, the blame games, the silent treatments. It's like background music in a twisted circus. They make you believe it's normal. That love has to hurt. That family means enduring things you'd never accept from a stranger. They hand you that script early. Don't question. Don't rebel. Don't make them look bad. Keep the secrets. Swallow the shame. And if you flinch when they raise their voice or mock your dreams, toughen up. That's just how it is. That's how we all learned. But here's the joke. Just because something is familiar doesn't make it right. Just because something has been passed down doesn't mean it deserves to stay. Toxicity doesn't become holy just because it came from grandma's kitchen. Abuse doesn't become wisdom because it wears the face of someone you're told to respect. And yet, the entire system is built on your silence, your compliance, your fear of being called ungrateful for daring to feel. And they'll hit you with the classics. Back in my day, you think you have it hard. You should be thankful. As if gratitude means pretending you're not hurt. As if survival stories from the past justify the chaos you live in now. But pain isn't a competition. Trauma isn't a badge of honor. And suffering isn't character building when it's forced on you by the people who were supposed to protect you. It just teaches you how to smile while you bleed. But you know what's worse? The way they normalize it, like it's a rite of passage. Like if you didn't get torn down by your own family, you didn't really grow up. And they'll say it with a laugh too. That's just how we love. No. That's how you control. That's how you manipulate. That's how you break people and convince them it's care. Love doesn't need pain to prove itself. Real love doesn't come with strings, conditions, or emotional bruises hidden behind forced smiles. And still, they'll tell you to forgive, to forget, to keep the peace. But peace built on silence isn't peace. It's performance. It's pretending. And pretending eats away at your soul. It tells you that your feelings are wrong, that your voice is too loud, that your truth is too inconvenient. So you shrink, you hide, you censor yourself in your own home, all to keep up the illusion that everything's fine. But it's not fine. It never was. And it never will be, as long as people keep confusing tradition with trauma. They say the cycle continues until someone is brave enough to break it. But breaking it means becoming the villain in their story. It means being talked about at gatherings. It means uncomfortable silences and forced smiles at weddings and funerals. But maybe being the villain in their story is the only way to become the hero in your own. Because someone has to say enough. Someone has to say enough. Someone has to look tradition in the face and say, not this one, not anymore. And yes, they'll try to guilt you, use every trick in the book. Emotional blackmail, passive aggression, crocodile tears. They'll say you're disrespectful, too soft, too angry. But what you really are is awake. Awake to the fact that tradition is just repetition without reflection. And repetition without reflection is how pain becomes permanent. They want you to carry their burden like it's your birthright. But you don't have to. You can drop it right there on the floor, like the broken thing it is. Because the truth is, if tradition costs you your sanity, your voice, your worth, it's not tradition. It's a prison with antique wallpaper. And prisons were never meant to feel like home. You know what they don't tell you when you're young? That sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the very architects. They raise you in rooms where your voice is too loud, your questions too bold, your emotions too inconvenient. And what do they call it? Discipline, structure, love. But what it really is training. Not for life, no, not for the world. Training to accept less, to lower your standards, to mute yourself for the comfort of others, especially the ones who wear the same name as you. You get taught to fold, to shrink, to keep peace that tastes like poison. Don't talk back. You should know better. You're just being dramatic. And just like that, your feelings go from valid to volatile. You start to doubt yourself. Maybe you are the problem. Maybe you are too much. Maybe it's not them, it's you. That's how they win. That's how silence is born. Not from choice, but from exhaustion. And it's funny, really, how they always tell you to respect your elders. No one ever says, elders, respect your children. That part mysteriously vanishes. It's a one-way mirror, not a two-way street. You see everything, feel everything, but they don't see you. You're invisible unless you're useful. You're lovable as long as you don't speak up. But the second you draw a line, now you're rude, disrespectful, rebellious, and that's the game. That's always been the game. They taught you to bite your tongue until it bled, to nod even when it hurt, to keep secrets for the sake of the family. But secrets rot. They fester. They don't go away just because you whisper them into a pillow instead of screaming them into the air. And one day, you wake up and realize your silence never saved you. It only saved them. From accountability, from guilt, from change. You ever notice how the ones who hurt you the most are always the first to demand loyalty? Family sticks together, they say, but they don't mean unity. They mean silence. They mean obedience. They mean, don't make me look bad. Because the moment you speak your truth, they can't control the narrative anymore. You're not the problem child, you're the honest one. And honest people, oh, they're dangerous in systems built on denial. And let's talk about that silence for a second. That pressure to not air dirty laundry. You think you're doing the noble thing, keeping it in, but all you're doing is protecting the problem, shielding the ones who never once shielded you. And why? So the neighbors won't whisper? So the extended family can keep pretending? Meanwhile, you're breaking in half, holding up a house made of shame and old lies. But here's the twist. Your silence won't change them. It never has. All it does is convince them they're right, that what they did wasn't so bad, that you turned out fine. And that's the cruelest part. You're praised for surviving what never should have happened. You get claps for walking on broken glass, when the real applause should have gone to the version of you that never had to. They don't want change. They want compliance, and the more you give it to them, the deeper you sink. Because silence doesn't build bridges, it builds cages. And the longer you stay quiet, the more the bars start looking like home. That's how they trap you, make you believe that pain is love, that guilt is loyalty, that voicelessness is peace. But it's not peace, it's pacification. A muzzle in the shape of a smile. They call it respect, but what they really mean is submission. They call it respect, but what they really mean is they want the version of you that says yes even when your soul is screaming no. And if you dare to say otherwise, they call you difficult, broken, ungrateful. But here's the kicker. You were never broken. You were just buried under expectations, under shame, under the heavy silence that was never yours to carry. And if they loved the silent version of you more than the honest one, maybe it was never love to begin with. Maybe it was just convenience wearing a family crest. And maybe, just maybe, your silence was never golden. It was just the price you paid to keep everyone else comfortable in their dysfunction. You sit there, bite your tongue, swallow the sting, again and again and again, because you're scared that if you speak up, the whole house of cards comes crashing down. So you let it slide, that comment, that tone, that little jab that felt more like a punch. But it's family, right? You convince yourself they didn't mean it, that it's just how they are. You laugh it off, even though your insides are screaming. And that's the trick. That's the trap. Silence. The slow poison that tastes like survival. But what they don't tell you is this. Every time you let it slide, you teach them how to treat you. Every time you nod instead of confront, you lower the price of your self-worth. And soon enough, they start thinking it's normal, expected, that your silence is part of the furniture, that your dignity is up for grab, and you, the good one, the quiet one, the one who keeps the peace, you start disappearing inch by inch until you're just a shadow that makes everyone else more comfortable. They say don't make a scene, don't upset anyone, don't be so sensitive, but who's protecting you from them? Where's your shield? Where's your permission to not just endure, but to feel? Because here's the punchline. You're not overreacting. You're not overreacting. You're responding to years of being trained to flinch at the sound of footsteps, to decode every sigh, every eye roll, every silence. You became fluent in their moods, while they never bothered to learn your language. And yet, you're the one always apologizing. And oh, they love it when you speak quiet, when you play the role, when you nod and agree and keep pretending everything's fine. Because the moment you speak, that's when the mask slips. That's when the real performance ends. They can't handle the real you, the version that doesn't shrink, the one that's had enough. Because truth doesn't fit into the family photo. Not the kind they want to hang on the wall anyway. That photo only fits the smiling kind of silence, the one where the pain gets cropped out. Letting it slide is the art of betrayal, but not yours. You betray yourself every time you laugh at their cruelty just to avoid another lecture. You betray yourself when you let your boundaries become punchlines, when you let guilt replace self-respect. Because the truth is, they don't have to lay a finger on you to hurt you. All they need is your silence, your compliance, your nodding head, and your empty smile. You ever notice how they always say, "Don't make it worse"? But what they mean is, don't make me uncomfortable. You're already uncomfortable. You're already bleeding beneath the skin. But their comfort? That's the real priority. That's the golden rule. Don't disturb the hierarchy. Don't call out the favoritism. Don't ask why you're the only one expected to bend, to carry, to forgive. And definitely don't ask for respect. That's crossing the line. And yet you stay, you hope. You wait for the day they'll see what they're doing, that they'll apologize, that they'll change. But the longer you wait, the more they believe they're right, because in their story, silence means consent. In their eyes, if you didn't speak up, it must not have been that bad. They forget that some people scream by going silent, that some people cry by smiling, that some people walk away while still sitting at the dinner table, but they won't get it. Not unless you break the script. Not unless you stop playing along. Because silence doesn't teach them a lesson. It only gives them permission. And you deserve more than permission slips to be disrespected. You deserve to be heard without having to yell, to be valued without having to suffer first. But none of that happens if you keep letting it slide, if you keep stitching up wounds in secret just so they never have to see the mess they made. They'll call it drama. They'll say you're being too much. But the real drama, that's been playing out for years, right under their noses. And they never noticed because you were too polite to make noise. You were too careful, too patient, too quiet. But silence never stopped the bleeding. It just made you easier to ignore. Isn't it funny how they expect you to be the bigger person? Always the bigger person. It's just a box in the state. You set your whole life to prove that you didn't break. You set your whole life to prove that you didn't break. You set your whole life to prove that you're the peacemaker, the forgiver, the one who swallows every insult with a smile and wraps every wound with duct tape and denial. You get hurt, but you're told to be the mature one. They cut you, and you're expected to hand them the knife again, politely, of course, because that's what good people do, right? They don't talk back. They don't hold grudges. They don't set boundaries. They let it go. But what they never say out loud is that be the bigger person is just code for make it easier for us to keep disrespecting you. It's the trick, the con, the illusion dressed up in moral high ground. And you, being raised to please, to not rock the boat, to earn love by being soft even when you're bleeding, fall right into it. You start to think that maybe your pain is selfish, that maybe wanting respect is asking for too much, that maybe silence is strength. But silence just makes their job easier. You get handed this invisible burden. Be understanding, be patient, be kind, even when they're cruel. And the moment you push back, you're the villain. You're too sensitive, too emotional, too dramatic. They poke and prod and push every button. And when you finally react, that's when they play victim. That's when they say, you're the one who started it. The show flips and suddenly your entire identity becomes a defense. You're not allowed to just exist anymore. You have to explain, justify, prove your pain, and they watch, smiling, calm, because chaos is your problem now, not theirs. And still, the world cheers for the bigger person. They call it noble. They call it strength. But really, it's survival in disguise. It's what you do when you're surrounded by people who don't actually want to understand you, just want to control the version of you they're comfortable with. They want the easy version, the agreeable one, the version that apologizes first and asks questions never. And the second you stop playing that part, suddenly you're difficult, dangerous, disposable. But let's talk about that danger for a second, because the moment you stop being the bigger person is the moment they have to face themselves, and that terrifies them. Because if you don't absorb the blame, they have to hold it. If you don't sweep it under the rug, they have to trip over it. If you don't shut up, they have to listen. And listening, that's the one thing they've never been good at. They talk. Oh, do they talk? 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 Oh, do they Suddenly it's not the right time. Or don't make everything about you. Or you're overthinking. They weaponize your empathy, your kindness, your instinct to heal. They feed on it like it's oxygen. Because as long as you keep giving them chances, they never have to give you respect. As long as you keep turning the other cheek, they never have to face the mirror. And somewhere deep down, they know that. That's why they push you to your limit, then step back and say, why are you so angry? As if the fire they lit should warm them, not burn them. Being the bigger person doesn't mean peace. It means pressure. It means holding in all the things you should have screamed years ago. It means hugging people who never once reached for you. It means staying when you should have run. And the worst part, it becomes your identity. You start thinking being mistreated is just part of your role. That standing up for yourself is selfish, that silence is sainthood. But sainthood is just another cage if you're not allowed to be human. And the truth, the raw, uncomfortable, untwisted truth, is that being the bigger person should never mean being the more broken one. Shouldn't mean carrying the guilt of everyone else's bad behavior. Shouldn't mean smiling through betrayal just to keep your seat at a table that never felt like home. Because forgiveness without accountability isn't healing, it's submission. And compassion without boundaries, that's just self-destruction with good PR. But they won't tell you that. No, they'll keep selling you the lie that your ability to endure pain makes you powerful, that turning your cheek makes you enlightened. But pain that isn't acknowledged turns into rot, and rot doesn't make you holy, it just makes you hollow. So they push you to be the bigger person, while they stay small and smug and untouched. And they call that balance. They call that family. They call that love.